All right, let's get right into it. There's this massive rumor swirling around that Netflix might buy HBO. So today we're going to break down what that actually means for all the shows you watch and, of course, your wallet.
Okay, so this is the number one question on everyone's mind. You love Game of Thrones, but you also can't live without Fixer Upper. So what happens? Well, the short answer is no. Netflix won't be getting HGTV. And honestly, the reason why is the most fascinating part of this entire deal. You see, to really understand where your favorite shows are going to land, we first have to look at this really critical step that happens before Netflix even thinks about writing a check. This isn't just a simple purchase. It's what's called a corporate split. The key to this whole thing is a business move called a corporate spin-off. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but it's actually pretty simple. Think of it like this. Warner Bros. Discovery isn't just selling off a part of its business. It's literally creating a brand new, totally separate company for its networks before the deal with Netflix even happens. So it's a two-step dance. Step one, all those cable networks you know, HGTV, Food Network, TNT, all of them, get bundled together and spun off into their very own new company. And step two, only then does Netflix swoop in and buy what's left over, which is the studio and the streaming side of the business. And what do you get in end of all that? Two completely separate media giants. On one side, you've got this new independent company, let's call it Discovery Global, which will be the home for all that reality TV and network content. And on the other side, you'll have Netflix, which would suddenly own this absolute powerhouse of scripted content, HBO, the Warner Brothers movie and TV studios, and the entire DC Comics universe. Okay, so that's all the corporate stuff, but let's be real. What does all this boardroom maneuvering actually mean for what you're going to watch on a Friday night? Let's take a look at the before and after.
Now, this isn't happening tomorrow. There's a pretty clear timeline. Right now, today, you get everything mixed together on HBO Max. But the date you really need to circle on your calendar is the third quarter of 2026. That's the magic moment when the big split is expected to happen. And by the end of that year, this new reality of two totally separate services will be locked in.
And this chart, this just lays it all out perfectly. Just look at the shift after Q3 2026. All your big-budget favorites, your Game of Thrones, your Harry Potter movies, they're all going to be part of the new Netflix/HBO service. But then, shows like Fixer Upper from HGTV or anything from the Food Network, they're headed over exclusively to Discovery+. It's a really clean break between those blockbuster scripted shows and all the unscripted lifestyle content.
So, the big question, what does this mean for your subscription and your money? This is the number one thing people are asking about, especially for those of you who are savvy and you've locked in a prepaid annual plan. What happens to you?
Here's the bottom line, and it's good news. That prepaid plan you have, that's a contract. When a company like Netflix buys another company, they also buy its legal obligations. And that means they will almost certainly have to honor the rest of your subscription.
So the most likely scenario, and really the best case for you, is that your plan just seamlessly converts into the new Netflix/HBO service. And this is a huge win, because you'd get access to this giant new library of content for the price you already paid. A refund is way less likely, and frankly, you wouldn't want that, because you just have to resubscribe at what will probably be a higher price.
Okay, but there's one big catch. You have to be ready for this. No matter what, after that Q3 2026 split happens, all that Discovery content, we're talking every show on HGTV, Food Network, TLC, it's going to disappear from your service. Your contract is for the HBO and Warner Bros. Stuff, not for the library of that entirely new company that's being spun off.
So, now that you know all this, how can you play it smart? Let's get a little strategic here and talk about a playbook for how to maximize your value and get the most bang for your buck before this whole thing goes down.
So let's bring it back to that all-important date one more time, Q3 2026. I want you to think of this as your finish line. It's the absolute deadline for enjoying both of these incredible content libraries under a single subscription. After this date, that combined value is gone for good.
All right, so here's a simple, budget-conscious game plan. First, if you want access to both libraries, subscribe sometime between now and the middle of 2026. That locks you into that single price. Second, start planning your big Discovery binge watch for late 2025 or early 2026, so you can catch all your favorites before they move. And finally, right before the split, you can reevaluate and decide if you want to stick with the new supersized Netflix, knowing you'll need a totally separate subscription for everything else.
At the end of the day, this massive potential deal is really just part of a much bigger trend we're seeing in streaming. It feels like the era of the everything store, one service that has it all, might be coming to an end.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question for the future, right? Is the whole idea of having just one streaming subscription a thing of the past? And are we all just destined to become managers of our own little collection of smaller, more focused streaming apps?